Good day and welcome to our webinar about content marketing adapting to the new way of selling. Before we begin, we would like to welcome our guest speaker, Allison Miller. Allison, do you mind, can you give a brief description about yourself and the company you work for?
Hi, happy to be here today. So my background is I've worked in the B2B manufacturing state for 3.5, almost 4 years. I work with Felber PR and marketing, and we do both inbound marketing and public relations. So I'm excited to share my experience with you and specifically about how I work with my business-to-business manufacturing clients.
And hi, my name is Derrick English Jr. I'm the CEO and digital strategist for DLE Solutions, which is a result-driven content marketing SEO agency that delivers qualified leads and sustainable sales growth for businesses. So let's begin on how your company can use GDPR to your business advantage. A few days before this webinar, I read this quote and I knew it fit very well with this topic and GDPR. And it reads, "What we all want in a low trust world is someone to trust." And when you think about GDPR, this EU regulation that was put in place to significantly enhance the protection of personal data and the obligation for organizations to tell us how they collect and utilize our data is very beneficial. Why? Because in a consumer privacy report, it found that over 92% of online customers cite data security and privacy as a main concern. And 57% of consumers don't trust brands to use their data responsibly. So GDPR is here to the rescue. And I know that you're thinking, as a salesperson or a marketer, that the new GDPR law is going to affect your sales and your company's growth. And myself as a marketer, I was upset with the new law as well until I read a study by Semantic that found that 90% of businesses believe it's too difficult to delete customer data and that 60% do not have the systems in place to help them do so. So when I read this study in this article, it hit me that the problem has nothing to do with privacy, is more with obscurity of not being understood. Why? Because as a customer, majority of salespeople or companies, marketers as myself, we never really took the time about how can we add value, how can we give better customer service to the customer, what can we do to constantly please them and to make them happy to choose our brand. We were more thinking of sales, and growth, money for a company that the customer data, we use it anyways. There's no understanding of the systems, how it works. If a customer calls us about a complaint, we have no processes in place to really modify or delete their data. So there's truly a need for GDPR. So we think the legislation is a good thing because it's asking all companies as a whole to change our techniques to look into earning our way in instead of pitching our way in. This is going to be a huge opportunity for good sales reps and marketers to continue doing positive work in a way that puts their customers and their concerns at the forefront. And by you and your company committing to share what you know and helping others with your expertise, you shouldn't have a problem with any of your customers or prospects consenting for your company to have their information. So if you want to get that competitive advantage, it starts by focusing on an inbound and content marketing approach. When it comes to inbound marketing, this approach is focused on attracting customers through relevant and helpful content and adding value at every stage in your customer's buying journey. With inbound marketing, potential customers find you through the channels that they enjoy using, like reading blogs, using Google or Bing or other search engines, and their preferred social media accounts such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. And as for content marketing, This is the art of providing relevant, useful content to your prospects without selling or interrupting them. Instead of pitching your products or services, you are delivering information that makes your prospects more informed before they buy. And once you create this content, and if you truly deliver consistent, ongoing, valuable information to them, they will ultimately reward you with their business and their customer loyalty.
Absolutely, and I'll just add to that, you can still pitch your products and services without seeming salesy. Using tools like a great technical paper or a case study is a great way to show that you do what you say you're doing and really educate the prospect back on what you do and the quality of your work without just saying, buy from me, buy from me. So that's a great tactic that we'll talk about later on in this presentation.
So once you invest your efforts in using inbound marketing to create quality content that adds values to your customers, the effect on your conversion rate will be a positive one. You will begin to grab more attention, build relationships, and convert more leads because content marketing will allow you to add value to your lead in every stage of the sales funnel. And this will give you a higher return on your content you create because you're actively focusing on helping your potential customers instead of promoting your business. And once you establish yourself as a thought leader and build trust, you will have a huge advantage when it comes to converting more sales. So now let's talk about the differences between inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. So why is inbound marketing important? That's because the old traditional outbound marketing tactics are broken. When you look at it, the statistics from the US have shown that 86% of TV ads are skipped, 91% of cold emails are unsubscribed by users, 44% of the direct mail are not open, and over 200 million people are on the do not call list.
Absolutely, and I think something important to mention, everything that Derrick said was absolutely right. I still think that there is a need for traditional PR in your inbound strategy. So let's say for my clients, we get them in a lot of industry publications, like an Industry Week or a 3D metal printing magazine for certain clients in that industry. That's still a great way to get this publication's readership knowledgeable about you and bring that awareness to your brand. But if you're doing outbound techniques like that, it's really important to have an inbound platform and an inbound strategy around it in order to track how many leads you're really getting from that.
And to add on, by starting off with inbound marketing and have a truly strategy where you focus on the customer, once you get more insights of that customer and know more about them, they will give you their preferences. So from there, they may say, we prefer you to reach us through email, opt-in emails, direct mail, or phone calls, but you now basically know their preference instead of just interrupting them on any of these channels where they're not ready to engage with your brand.
So why are these outbound marketing statistics so high? It's because outbound marketing has always been looking more of a one-way street. And nowadays, people want you to hear their feedback, understand what their needs and behaviors are, and create that personalized communication for them. So with inbound marketing, it's a new tactic that's more permissive. Why? Because they use pull tactics to create content that provides value. Customers come to you, and best, it can easily be measured for return on investment. So it use SEO, blogging, and other attraction techniques to pull customers and potential customers to your company. However, I want to be clear, we are not saying to stop using outbound tactics, but rather look into pairing them with inbound ones. Right? Because if you use the customer information that you have received from inbound efforts, this can make your outbound campaigns more effective by creating that personal communication that your customer wants to see. So how can you create that personalized communication? It starts by first understanding your targeting audience through a buyer persona. So what is a buyer persona? A buyer persona is your ideal customer based on real data and educated guesses about where they are, how they act, and what motivates them. Buyer personas help us create content for real people. Why? Because that's exactly what our customers are, real people.
Right. And I'll just add to this, the buyer persona creation process is a huge part of what we do as inbound marketers for our clients. It's really at the crux of what we do in our entire inbound marketing and sales enablement strategy. A lot of times when I work with new business-to-business manufacturing clients, they've kind of had a lot of assumptions. They think they understand their buyers' needs, wants, goals, but that's not necessarily true, and it's really important to interview your great customers to find out why they work with you, and do this whole buyer persona process in order to really get this 360 view of who that person is. And once you understand that, you can develop content that will really attract more people like them and answer their problems and give them solutions.
So when you're ready to put pen and paper into developing your buyer persona, you need to look at it as a storytelling actually, and create a character where you look at their unique and odd behavior patterns, their pain points, professional and personal, their motivators, their wishes, their dreams, where they live and work, as well as where they vacation at, and any additional information from their history, present and future, that can truly give you the information to know so much about them, to add that value when it comes to create communication to them. It's basically putting yourself as a private eye. You're really diving deep into data and learning so much about your prospects and your current customers to truly say the content and the message that we're delivering, we truly want to add that personal communication to you.
So here's an example of a persona that I developed for a 3D metal printing of my client called Fabersonic. So one of their top buyer personas is Travis the engineer. He is a senior engineer. He's in charge of advanced programs at a mid to large size manufacturing company. He's about 40 to 50 years old. He's married with kids. The wife typically will stay at home because he's constantly on the road. He's really motivated by learning about and playing with the newest and latest and greatest technology. He started his career in R&D. He's worked his way up. Now he's got 5 people who report under him. Technology is really what drives everything he does. He regularly attends trade shows like Rapid, IMTS, FabTech, and he's just constantly trying to learn about the latest and greatest. The big problem with getting someone like Travis on board to work with my client Fabersonic is that although he does have some budget authority, he only has authority up to $100,000, and anything over that, he needs the VP of Engineering's approval. So that can kind of be a roadblock. So this is really important for us to understand his motivations and goals, and kind of uncovering this, especially the budgetary authority issue. We've been able to create our strategy around that and really attract and close more people like Travis. So the next section is about how to get more qualified leads and really move them through your sales funnel with inbound marketing. So you want to develop your brand, and I'm going to tell you the top 3 ways to do that. So the first way is to be knowledgeable. You really want to have an educational purpose with everything that you do. You really want to lead with your knowledge. And if you're writing great content, you will be found. So that's number 1. Number 2 is being likable. Adding value and showing credibility. So I talked about earlier the importance of having white papers, and technical pieces of content. case studies, those are really important because not only are they extremely educational, but they also have that third-party credibility where they really show that you know what you know and you are saying exactly what you do. You're not fabricating or embellishing what you do. So that's really, really important. And then the third piece is being trustable. So this is all about aligning sales and marketing, making sure that sales are really delivering on what marketing is saying, that sales is in your inbound marketing strategy, that they're following up with these leads, that they're providing value on their end, and really that it's holistic between sales and marketing. Everyone's combined together.
So I feel once you develop your brand to become knowable, likable, trustable, any prospects or current customers that you currently have, once you build that relationship with them, like you will be the clear-cut choice to fulfill their needs. And literally this investment will lead to huge advantages when it comes to converting more sales and outpacing your competitors.
So I'm going to go through this. This is obviously a sales funnel. This is from the inbound marketing perspective and kind of breaks down everything that we do. So the attract stage is how you get that stranger to visit your website. So that's a great search engine optimization strategy, blogging, social media, your website copy, and mobile optimization. Those ways are to attract people to your website. Now, the next piece is convert, and this piece is extremely important, especially now with GDPR. This is basically your step to get people to opt into your content and being contacted by you. So things like calls to action, which are essentially little buttons that have an offer on it. You click to it, you go to a web page, fill out a form to be contacted or download a piece of content. This is super, super important in your strategy and something that shouldn't be missed. So this is a way that someone identifies themselves, you get them in your database, and now you can contact them. And then once you've gotten someone to database themselves in that convert stage, the next stage is to close them. So you're doing this through email optimization, to these great personalized emails that are really tailored to what type of content they're engaging with, what pages they're looking on, and really nurturing them. And also aligning with sales, having sales have alerts if your prospect is looking at like at your pricing page, or at certain pages that would indicate that they're kind of further down in their sales cycle. That's super, super important. And then the last stage is really about delighting your customer. So once you have them as a customer, you want to maintain that relationship and keep them buying from you more. So having customer service feedback forms, doing some more email nurturing. A lot of times when I work with my business-to-business clients, I really try to figure out if this customer is buying X line, could they also use Y? And really, trying to get more buy-in for them. If you already have this good relationship, why not get them to buy another line of products? So just really trying to continue to add that value and continue that relationship.
And I would like to add, from the value that you have added to them, once your prospect has converted into a customer, they will also become a brand ambassador for your company. And they will tell all the good things you have done for them to their network, which will drive in more new clients. So make sure to continue to delight your customers after the sale, because this can help upsell more products to them, as well as help easily educate them to bring in new prospects into your sales funnel.
Okay, so the next part is about the buying process. So in the last slide, we talked about the inbound methodology funnel as it relates to us as marketers, but we also have to keep in mind your persona's buyer process. So what they're looking for, and we typically put that into 3 stages. So awareness, consideration, decision. So maybe in the awareness stage, I'll use my 3D metal printing client as an example. Maybe someone's looking to develop heat exchangers, but they're not really sure which method to use. So you could do a piece that's comparing, powder bed versus ultrasonic additive manufacturing, or a variety of other things. In the consideration stage, maybe you'd have more of a technical piece that really breaks down two technologies to do heat exchangers. And then in the decision stage, you would do like a great case study about how my client Fabersonic worked with NASA, JPL, and made a very unique heat exchanger that could not have been designed with another process. This is really important. So just developing content for each stage of where the person may be in their traditional buyer's journey, because you never know where someone might be in their buyer stage when they're trying to search for a solution. So I really wanted to explain how this inbound marketing process works, and I wanted to do that by creating like a mock client and a mock persona. So let's say that you are a manufacturer of commercial cabinetry, you're called Landon Cabinets, and your target persona that you're trying to reach through your campaign and your efforts is Designer Dan. He's a director of design for chain restaurant stores, think H&M, think Piata, Italian street foods, think Dick's Sporting Goods, things like that. So for this campaign, really you've kind of identified that your goal is to educate Designer Dan on industry trends in the commercial cabinet space, differentiate yourself, Landon Cabinets, from larger competitors like Excel Group or EMI, and then convince Dan that now is the time to invest in the new commercial cabinets and that you are the to-go choice for that. So the first stage of the inbound marketing stages is attract. So some blog posts that might be a good thing to send to put out there for Dan could be how cabinetry affects the commercial retail experience, or the pros and cons of using granite in commercial retail. So a lot of time people will want to use granite, but they're not aware of the cost or certain limitations. So doing a piece like that and also providing some other alternatives could be a good way to educate this prospect at this stage and really add value. And then the next thing to do is to share on social networks, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You could consider using some pay-per-click ads in this. Typically when I'm working with a client at the beginning, I typically kind of put that on the back burner and really focus on organic search and organic efforts just through our great content and see how far that can take you. And honestly, it can take you pretty far. So the next stage of this campaign would be the convert stage. So really taking that visitor and making them a lead. This is when, as I said earlier, they opt in through a form. So calls to action on blog posts and throughout related web pages are really important. So on one of your previous blogs, why not put a call to action button to download a case study on your work with Dick's Sporting Goods, or download a retail industry design trends analysis white paper. You have to keep in mind with this, and something important to note with this convert stage, is the form's length and the detail in which it goes should match the quality of the content. So for something like a case study or a retail industry analysis, you can ask a little bit more information, whereas like a call to action or a pop-up to sign up for email updates, I would only suggest asking for an email. So that's something important to keep in mind. So you click on the call to action to download the case study. It takes you to a landing page, which is just essentially a web page with more information about the piece of content. They fill out the form. Once they submit the form, they download the piece of content. And then, of course, you've got their information and you can nurture them in the next stage, which is the close stage. Yeah. So the last stage of the inbound marketing process, well, not the last stage, but the most important stage to turn that lead into a customer is the close stage. So this is really all about nurturing this prospect once you get their information. So once they've submitted that form on that piece of content, adding this user into an automated campaign or workflow, which is basically just a series of emails for retail design directors. So here are some examples of certain content that I would send. I want to note that I did put 7 days, a month, 6 months. I know that can seem like, hey, why is it jumping so much through time? I want to keep in mind the point that you really, when developing an inbound campaign, working with sales, talking about, how long does it really take to close someone? Because I've had clients that can close typically within 2 months. I've had some that have maybe a year to year and a half lead cycle. It really depends. So I wanted to note that. So maybe the first email that you send in your workflow sentence could be, did the case study answer your question? Really trying to gauge how interested they are in you, maybe start a conversation there. That's a little more personal. People appreciate it. A next piece could be maybe a link to a blog post to meet our design engineers. This is really, really a great tactic to use. I've used it with multiple of my clients. People like to buy from people. They don't want to buy from companies. So adding that personalization, taking down the curtain, really showcasing who is making your products or doing your services is really important, and people enjoy that. Maybe at 6 months, if they're still engaging with your content, but they're not maybe sales qualified yet, doing another case study about how American Eagle achieved differentiation in the retail space, working with you and, your installation. So something important to note is that prospect insights based upon the persona's engagement are going to change where they go in this workflow. So if they're clicking to read your emails and actually clicking on the content, if they're viewing multiple pages on your website, they're going to be continue to get content. Now, if they stop reading or they're not really interested, they're not going to continue to get content. However, if you sent them an email 3 months ago and then they just decide to click on it now, they will be re-entered and nurtured. So that's something really important to keep in mind. We're not going to be spamming people that aren't interested. We're only going to be nurturing the people that are showing interest and try to move them toward a sales qualified lead.
And it's in this stage as well. It's very important that alignment between marketing and sales, because any of this information, the leads going down through the sales funnel, it should only go to sales based off a lead scoring. So if they're clicking on different articles, downloading case studies, attending your webinars, depending on how they're engaging with your companies, sales should state to marketing that if they get this score, this is when they should be sent to us. Because we don't want to waste your time, and the focus is to truly give you qualified leads who are now ready to close. So the automation part of it is very beneficial because it keeps track of all this information and truly makes sure that the leads going to sales are ready to be closed. And literally, from our insights, we've seen that literally the sales productivity as well as their close conversion rate is much higher when you have all these techniques in place.
Okay, so I just want to take a little pause here because I know I've thrown a lot of information at you, but the important takeaway from all that we've talked about so far is that you must create value for your audience before you extract value. So you need to give before you can receive. You need to give a lot of great insight and create that relationship before you close them as a customer. And it's a long cycle process sometimes, but it's extremely valuable. And if you nurture someone through great content and create that relationship, you're way more likely to not only close the prospect as a customer, but also maintain that relationship for years to come. So the next section is really about the importance of aligning sales and marketing teams. Traditionally, these have been very segregated departments. We do not want that. It's really important that you align them, that they have an opening conversation, and because it benefits both departments. So let's talk about that. So a lot of times when I talk with my manufacturing clients, my new ones, they think a lot of times that sales is more important than marketing. And I always tell them, not necessarily. Traditionally, a B2B manufacturing customer, or just B2B customers in general, are 57% through the buying process before they contact you. which, shocks the sales managers that I talk to. But yeah, marketing is 7% more important than sales. So it's really important that marketing is effective, that sales talk to marketing about, the types of content that their prospects typically want, and that there's that open conversation. That way you're getting the more qualified leads and sales can do their job more effectively. So companies that have their sales and marketing aligned and have a lead nurturing generation process have 50% more sales qualified leads at 33% lower cost of acquisition. Let's just pause there. 50% more sales qualified leads at 33% lower cost of acquisition. So these salespeople aren't wasting time cold calling. They're not wasting time, whining and dining prospects that aren't even close to being ready to buy. They're only talking to these prospects that have been nurtured, that have shown interest, and therefore, it's way less expensive to acquire this new customer. So the importance of sales and marketing alignment, of course, if we've stated, is just super invaluable. We always say that there needs to be a service level agreement between marketing and sales, which is just a fancy way of saying that both need to be at the table, that marketing needs to identify the number and quality of the leads required to hit the company revenue goals, and that sales needs to identify the speed and depth of lead follow-up that makes economic sense. And this is really key. So a lot of times marketing has just been focused solely on leads, but not really tying it back to revenue. And sales has struggled to follow up. We need to really come together and talk about what's really the quality of leads that we need, the number of leads required to close, and also sales. Once you get these sales qualified leads, how quickly are you going to follow up? If you call someone 5 to 10 minutes directly after they've hit your website, they're significantly more likely to close as a customer. And that's because you're top of mind, because you're answering their problems, because you seem more efficient and more interested in what they do. If you wait a few days, you're significantly less likely to close this person as a lead, because they're continuing to do their process. They're calling your competitors. So it's really important that you both come to the table and create this strategy together in order to really close the most customers possible.
And when we do business, we also want to see facts behind any strategy that we're potentially going to use. So in this section, we want to show you the positive impact from building relationships through content marketing that it can give your company. First, let's take a look at Code International, which is a British company that designs and supplies climate control and ventilation systems. They were looking to establish the company as an innovative thought leader in their industry, target more users online, and generate more qualified leads through their website. From their content marketing efforts, they were able to increase monthly traffic by over 10-fold, increase overall landing page conversion rates by 13%. Another example is Secureworks, which is now a global provider of cybersecurity solutions. When they got started with inbound marketing, they were struggling with visibility, and they needed a way to clarify the relationship between sales and marketing to verify that they were doing their job. On top of that, the team also wanted to get a better idea of the customer journey and the experience. So once they implemented this strategy, they were now able to identify 1 out of 80 visitors, which before was 1 out of 20. They were able to increase their qualified lead by 50%, and the conversion rate was doubled, which is a great sign. And lastly, we would like to talk about River Pools and Spa, which is an American company that manufactures and installs fiberglass pools. Their owner, Marcus Sheridan, was having financial problems because after the financial crisis, their company literally was on the brink of bankruptcy. So him and his management decided to save their business by using content marketing to educate and reach out to his target audience and new prospective customers. And from their efforts, they are now seeing over 500,000 web traffic per month to their site. And one of their evergreen blogs has generated about $2 million in sales for the company. And the cool thing about it as well too, Marcus is now a thought leader, besides in his pool industry, as also in inbound marketing. So he now travels to educate other companies and agencies of how to truly do inbound marketing right and get see that return on investment. So as you can see, the numbers don't lie. So if you're thinking, how can I now get management on board as well as look into aligning my sales and marketing team? With inbound marketing, the strategies will give you an average of 2.24% conversion rate, while outbound marketing gives you around 0.5% rate. And if you're truly gung-ho with inbound marketing, companies are 3 times as likely to see a higher return on investment than inbound marketing, as well as inbound marketing costs 61% less per lead while generating 54% more leads. The numbers don't lie. It's a really great strategy. And if, like I said, it's an investment, but it does pay off. So we're now at our question and answers section, and we will use this time about 15 minutes to hear any questions that any of the participants have for us on inbound and content marketing. And let's begin. So one other question, could you give an example of how to utilize inbound and outbound marketing together?
Mm-hmm.
Allison, would you like to start with
sure.
that?
Sure. So a lot of times when I'm working with my manufacturing clients, because I mean, of course, I have my PR background, I look at the editorial calendars of industry publications that their personas that we've identified through the buyer persona process that their personas are reading. And I'll look at their editorial calendar, see what they're writing about, try to align my client's goals with what that publication is writing about, and pitch that story. So, but while we're doing that story, so let's say they get in that story and it's coming out in May, we'll create an entire inbound marketing campaign around that topic. So let's say it's 3D printed heat exchangers, we'll just say. So we'll be writing a significant amount of content around that. We'll be doing a lot of social media strategy, maybe some pay-per-click even if we want to. And of course, we'll get that outbound traffic too from the article. So that's a way to really combine the two together. And the great thing about doing inbound with outbound is that we can track, how many leads are coming from that editorial piece. So it's great.
And one of the examples that we utilize it's with the call to action, the buttons. When we do create, when we work with our clients to create personalized, tailored content articles to drive more leads to the site, one of the fields we ask if they're downloading a case study or attending a webinar, we usually ask, what is your preferred communication channel? So is it, do you prefer email, phone calls, or direct mail? And usually with that information, we utilize and say, you know what, after we know more about them, maybe for this piece, we may send them a direct mail or a phone call just to help add more value to them. So it's very beneficial to have these fields in your call to action to really understand more of what the customer likes, so you can personalize your communication and go go about communicate with them in their preferred channel.
Mm-hmm. I will add, and this is kind of related but kind of unrelated, Alexander, is that search has really changed. Traditionally, it was really focused on keywords and key phrases. Now, Google has gotten a lot smarter with natural language processing and really understanding what people are asking for when they're searching. So Google is really good at identifying if brands are an expert on a certain topic. And the way to really rank in search is to have a lot of content regarding a specific piece of content. So every time that I'm doing a campaign with a client, I'll still use my 3D printing client as an example. So let's say we were talking about heat exchangers. We'd have a lot of related pieces of content regarding that. We also have, the outbound effort, so the editorial piece and that industry publication related to that. That will all help Google see my client as an authority in 3D printed heat exchangers and bring more traffic to them. So content really is key in order to rank higher. It's not about key phrases and keywords. I'm not saying those are completely obsolete and completely not beneficial, but I'm just saying that the importance is about providing value and about having a lot of content related to a specific topic in order to rank.
And the second question, do you think that buyer persona creation process has changed after the GDPR changes? Allison, would you like to begin again?
I don't think it's changed necessarily because of GDPR. However, I think that you need to reevaluate your buyer personas at least once a year. Right now in manufacturing, there's a lot of change in personnel, a lot of older people are retiring, a lot of new people are coming in. So there might be some generational differences or motivations that need to be considered and tweaked as the new generation comes in. But I don't think that's directly related to GDPR.
Correct. If you created a truly buyer persona that's geared to adding value to your customer, GDPR is just now making it more advantage for your company because you're truly adding value to them, and so they're looking to give you consent and wanting more information from you. And as Allison stated, it's always good each year to look at your buyer personas and see ways we can update it and update our content, because we do know that people change, their behavior change, they may get new roles, etc. So how can you constantly continue updating your buyer persona to tailor towards the changes that are going on with your customers? So it is very good once you get in customers into that buyer persona to send out a survey to literally get more information about them and update your buyer persona around it. So yeah. And for us, we always recommend that no matter what company size you have, you should at least have 2 buyer personas. And if you're a bigger one, and you should have more, but every company I recommend should have at least 2 buyer persona to get started and truly have the content and messaging on your website and on your social media channels geared towards them. So here's our final remarks that we have for you. So hopefully you got from this webinar that when it comes to adapting to the new way of selling, how can you go about finding new customers? The answer is you don't. They will find you. Your company's ability to create content that adds values to your customers, help educate them, and solve their challenges and problems will give you the competitive advantage you need to drive more potential customers through your sales funnel and convert them into customers and build that long-term relationship with them. So I would like to end with a quote that we presented at the beginning. What we all want in a low trust world is someone to trust. It's time for your brand to be that change that your customers want to receive. And with respect to GDPR,
content marketing will be an important part to attract new customers and get that consent to add value to them and truly nurture them through the sales funnel and convert them to a customer. Like, build that relationship with them, and they truly will be there for you. And as I stated before, your brand ambassador. So look to adding value to them and promote your product secondly. For any questions we were able to answer due to the time, we will give a response on our social media accounts. So literally connect with us online and just let us know anything additional you have, and we will answer them. And the recording for this webinar will be up on YouTube to view later on this week. So I would like to thank Allison Miller for being our guest speaker, and may all of you have a great day. Take care. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Take care.
Great. Bye.